Hello, good afternoon, or good evening, guys, wherever you guys are listening to me. My name is Leah Fernandez, and welcome to episode 1 of the Storybook Couch. In today's first episode, we're going to talk about a book that I had read in the past, and I really became super addicted to. It's a book called Those Girls by Chevy Stevens. It is one of those books that is a psychological thriller. So if you're into anything that has to do with psychological or psychology, basically, this is the book for you. So what Those Girls, how it impacted me is it made me reflect a lot on like sisterhood. It made me reflect on a lot of themes. But before I go ahead and talk about those themes and about how the book has impacted me in a way where it just made me reflect on a lot of things in life and how it is being a woman, I'm going to go ahead and read you a little bit of the synopsis in the back of the book. So according to the book, life has never been easy for the three Campbell sisters, Jess, Courtney, and Danny. Live on a remote ranch in Western Canada where they work hard and they try to stay out of the way of their father's temper. One night, a fight gets out of hand and the sisters are forced to go on the run, only to get caught in an even worse nightmare when their truck breaks down in a small town. As events spiral out of control, they find themselves in a horrifying situation and are left with no choice but to change their names and create new lives. So basically, it also states 18 years later, they are still trying to forget what happened during the summer. When one of the sisters goes missing, followed closely by their niece, they are pulled back into the past, and this time in a world full of secrets in which nothing as it seems, there's nowhere left to run. So the book is really great. Let me tell you that. Chevy Stevens did an amazing and phenomenal job dissecting each sister, dissecting every trauma that happens in this book. It's just a phenomenal book. For those of you that, like you stated, love thrillers, I'm very surprised that this book hasn't even been turned into a film, because honestly, I feel like this movie would do such great being in film, and I need something to happen with this book. So basically, as I was stating and reading the little synopsis for you, these sisters, they get into a violent altercation with their alcoholic father, which forces them to go ahead and run from the barn that they currently live in. The intense altercation basically, before anything, because I was about to spoil something, it is a spoilers alert. That was just me giving you guys a synopsis. But yeah, spoiler alert. If you guys want to read it, go read it. But yeah, stop right here. So yeah, now that that's out of the way, so basically what happens is that one of the sisters ends up murdering their father during this altercation. It turns very abusive. The father gets out of hand and he hits one of the sisters, making one of the other sisters kill the father. And because of these actions, they are forced to go ahead and run away from the barn. But before that, they go ahead and bury their father in the pig's mud. So basically, the dad is done. He's dead, This just forces them to run. They go ahead and run away in their little truck that they own, that the father owns. It taking them to the small town, as I just mentioned. Once the car breaks down, they are pretty much kidnapped by three men. That is their other nightmare, unfortunately. They're kidnapped and they're basically assaulted and abused by the kidnappers, resulting later on in life of one of the sisters, which is the youngest, getting impregnated by one of the assaulters, pardon. The book basically turns into a survival, hence when they have to go into this town after escaping their captors. They go into this town and they are basically forced to change their names and run away from the town, leaving them with a new identity and forced to live a different lifestyle now. Unfortunately, each one of them goes through their own traumas. One of them becomes a mother, as stated. One of them was pregnant, which is the youngest sister, Jess. Danny, who also in the book once they change their names, their names are completely different. Danny turns into Dallas, Courtney turns into Crystal, and Jess turns into Jamie. So Jamie, in other words Jess, is the one that ends up having a daughter. But yeah, throughout this whole book, they build a new life. They're happy. They try to forget about what happened to them and their experiences. But unfortunately, Skylar, Jess's daughter, or Jamie, because it's like I said, they have different identities. She is forced to wonder who the hell is her father. So Skylar continues to wonder who her father is, which is something that Jess does not want to go ahead and tell her. She just wants to keep it a secret due to the fact that she was conceived out of a abuser. So when she starts being curious, that's when she goes ahead and decides to run away and forces Jess to go ahead and go after her. That leaves the two sisters, Courtney and Danny, to grow concern for both of them, which makes them go back to their old town where they were basically assaulted. Basically, the story revolves around survival of the sisters. Some of the themes would be the trauma and the scarring that these events left them. They're forced to go ahead and face this nightmare that they once were in, leaving, unfortunately, one of the sisters to end up dying to sacrifice for her sisters, which is Courtney. As I said, I didn't want to spoil it, but, Courtney ends up dying in the story, which shines light that, after all, like, Courtney was just, when I was reading this book, I did kind of have sympathy. I did empathize with Courtney. Courtney, I actually was one of my favorite characters in the book, despite Jess being the one that was very much the central character of the story. But I think Courtney was the one who was more resilient, even though she showed some weakness in her. She really was just a sister that unfortunately started consuming drugs, but she lost herself, and I think her redeeming arc for her was sacrificing herself for her sisters to these assaulters or kidnappers who they are faced with once again. But as I was saying, so basically, the story ends with the sisters having to face those kidnappers, and the message pretty much ends with rescuing Skylar and escaping their attackers, and who are finally brought to justice, which offers them a sense of closure and vindication for the sisters after years of living in fear. So the novel does close on a hopeful note, with both Jess, Danny, and Skylar beginning to heal as a family, although the scars of their past remain there, just losing their sister Courtney, which they find straight in each other to have a sense of peace and knowing they've confronted their demons. The story ends pretty much with a good message of survival, healing, and enduring bond between the sisters, which suggests that their trauma will never fully disappear and they can finally rebuild their lives, knowing that the captors or the kidnappers and assaulters have been brought to justice, which is pretty much a good outcome, but it is sad that they had to lose one of their sisters. The book is very, it's very, not a tough read, it's an easy read, but I really enjoyed it, and it was something that made me realize a lot of things about life. It just made me reflect on the being together and having this sisterhood and all this strength to face your traumas and basically try to live a better life after such traumatic experiences. But as I was stating, this is a great book for those that love psychological thrillers, that are in need of reading a good book. The book only has at least 40 something chapters, 37 chapters, 38, around there. It has a great amount of chapters. It is very, not lengthy, but it is a great read. As I stated, if you guys love books like that, I would just suggest to pick it up. But yeah, this is the first episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully I can go ahead and pick another book for you guys to talk about and describe it a little bit more for you guys and see what you guys like. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.